Welcome to Big Blend Radio with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazine.com.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Big Weekly Blend podcast. We love this show. It's every week we look at the upcoming holidays, whether it's like National Avocado Day or National Tequila Day. They should put that on the same day. I'm just saying, guacamole and tequila, they go well. And we look at food. We look, there's a lot of silly holidays, but there's some that are really important. There are some that look at our history and celebrate history, like Buffalo Soldiers Day. Good Samaritan's Day, that's a good day. A lot of good stuff. And we look at wildlife and parks and places, you name it. So we look at that and we create a music playlist off of the happenings and the birth anniversaries of the week. And today we're going to be celebrating all kinds of good stuff with our good friend, Joey Stuckey. Joey Stuckey is an amazing musician. He's a producer. He's a sound engineer, a radio and TV personality. He's just a personality. I'm just going to say that. He's a songwriter. He's a singer, composer, music columnist, educator, sound engineer. I said that twice, but he gets to have that. He's got his own studio. It's Shadow Sound Studio, right, Joey?
You got it.
That's right. You can learn all about Joey. Go to joeystuckey.com, and he's also the official music ambassador for Macon, Georgia, the Southern rock capital of the world. And I heard that this is sad. Georgia's not doing so great on peaches this year. What's going on, Joey? I heard you froze a little bit.
I don't know what's happening with the peaches, but they are one of my favorite fruits, I must tell you. And especially when it comes to like cobblers, love a good peach cobbler or peach ice cream is amazing. But I don't know. But our climate is just out of control. So
yeah, everything's a little bit, just a little bit. Trust me. We travel the country, and you travel. I know you're getting ready to do a fall tour as well, international again. You think you know what's going on, but it's not. We had right now we're in Fayetteville, Arkansas, so we're up in the mountains actually, but it really doesn't feel like it. Maybe today it does, but we had these storms come through, and what they said and what was on the radar, and then what it changed, like every few minutes. So you didn't know, like, okay, should we duck? Should we get in a hallway for a tornado? It didn't happen like that, but we got some nice moisture, which cooled us all down. We all like to be a little moist when it's
absolutely
that hot.
I mean,
but cool.
When we were kids, we would run through the garden hose in the summertime, and then later, as my parents became more affluent, we would jump in the big swimming pool, and then I lived 40 minutes from the beach, and we had a beach house during the summer, so we'd stay in the ocean, stay in the pool. And when I was really very sick child, and the doctor's like, hey, you need to stay at the beach out in the sun and get the salt air and all that stuff. That's gonna make you feel better. And so we'd live there, for about 2.5, 3 months during the summer. That's where we go. So yeah, everybody loves the water during the summer. And it's so hot. We were traveling. I can't remember where we were now because we've been on the road a good bit. We were going down to Florida, and then we were also up in Indiana. But anyway, one of the days we were traveling, it was 118 degrees, which is just nuts.
That is nuts. It's been like weird that way. Like even when we were up in Wisconsin recently, in fact, we just missed each other when you were in Indian. Last time we recorded it, we were in Indianapolis, I think.
Yeah.
And then,
that's right.
We did just miss each other.
We're always doing that.
Yeah. that's weird. But we went
I blame Nancy.
Oh, yeah.
Just kidding.
Well,
I love Nancy. She's awesome.
Nancy's really inside her computer. We're working on 2 magazines. And so I told her that if she finishes XYZ, I'll give her a glass of wine. But now that, National Tequila Day is coming up, I might have to get her a bottle of tequila. She'll be happy.
I guess the question that I have is about the old song, like, does tequila make her clothes come off? That's my question.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it does. It depends. Well, I used to live in Mexico.
We
used to live there. Yep. In fact, my dentist found me in downtown Ensenada after a root canal.
Yeah.
It was a great time.
They're fun.
He told me, because of the medication or the pain stuff and everything, you're not allowed to have wine, not allowed any of this stuff. So I'm like, sure. Uh-huh. And of course we leave and we're with my friends and, Nancy, and we all go, okay, let's go downtown and there's a tequila bar. We'll just do one, we'll have lunch. We'll, not that I could eat very much, but you could get really good soups and stuff,
Sure.
So we go downtown and, I've got a nice swollen face.
Yeah, look like you've been punched in the face.
He found me. He found me at the tequila bar.
How? Like,
he knows
did he have
us.
A tracker? Did he have a tracker?
He
in
knows
your
us,
teeth,
and
okay.
his daughter gets out of the pickup truck, runs up to me, and gives me a bottle of tequila, and he says, "If you're going to drink tequila, you need to drink this and this caliber, and nothing else." And so we're like, and then he said, "And now you need to go home and not drink it now. You can have it tomorrow." So eventually we leave, and we had a good time. And
that is service with a smile when your dentist.
I mean, who does that, right?
I mean, that's amazing.
That is amazing. And he brought us rum from Cuba one time.
Yeah.
No, he's a cool guy. And Dr. Ruiz, if you ever go to Ensenada and you need a good dentist, like he's the sweetest guy ever. And that night we went out to a party out on it was like, he had like an underground restaurant out on the beachfront at like a friend's house that kind of used it as a restaurant too. Anyway, they're not there anymore. You can't catch them. So we're there. It was a birthday party and I'm not supposed to have anything to drink. Of course I had a little champagne and whatever, but we were on the beach. You were talking about the beach. It's beautiful at sunset. Yeah. Pelicans are flying over and seagulls. Yeah. And this band comes and plays like the most amazing music. Of course, they did covers. They did like Led Zeppelin and Rolling Stones and stuff. I'm sorry, but when a band really can cover Led Zeppelin and do it really well, that's pretty darn cool.
That's pretty
good.
And
they were doing, of course, Santana and everything, but then they played their own stuff. And I was like, they had another gig in Ensenada and they had to pull me away from going to Ensenada that night because that's not a safe drive. But I was just like this. I became like the biggest groupie that night. I was one of those. You know how that happens.
Yeah.
So when you're on stage performing, do you know when because we used to, as a band, watch what's going on. And then obviously with you being blind, do you know what's going on in front of you? Like the shenanigans? Like, do you know when there's the groupie or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The squat dancer.
Yeah. So there, you learn to read the room over time. And, of course, it depends on where you're performing. If you're background noise, sort of ambiance as opposed to the featured, part of the entertainment, then, you get used to kind of like nobody paying any attention. And that's totally fine as long as they pay you well. I'd be whatever. So like we do corporate parties and the big deal with a corporate party is keeping the volume down because people want to hear the music, but they want to build a network and talk to each other. So essentially they pay you really, really well to basically entertain yourself. So we just play whatever the hell we want to play and keep the volume down. And then if people want to stop and listen, they can. But if they don't, we're not so loud that it intrudes. So there's that kind of show. And then there's the show where, they're specifically there to see you and they want to hear, your stuff and they want you to interact with them. But yeah, I have no ability to know how drunk the audience is or anything like that. And it's got me into a couple of situations. So like, I can think of a couple examples where I was not able to read the room and it would have been better if I had. Nowadays, my band will tell me stuff, but when I was younger, I think they like to watch me suffer. So I was a house band for the Ritz-Carlton for about 6 months. And what's real shocking if you can't see and, I'm playing music, so I can't really hear what's going on around me. I can hear the band, but I can't really hear anything else, is the number of drunk bridesmaids that wanted to sit in my lap while I was playing. And it's real shocking all of a sudden for a drunk woman to be laying on top of you and you're trying to play. It's a real shock.
And you can't see her. Like you don't know where to put your hand. Oh, no, I
know. I'm sitting there like, it's like all of a sudden there's this woman, and it's like,
get off of me. What is that?
Well, and were I younger and a single man, that'd be different. But I try A, not to stop playing, and B, to be very kind and say, hey, man, I'm glad you're enjoying the night. Thanks so much. Basically try to get her off of me and on to make her somebody else's problem.
Wow.
That's good. And then one time when I was in my 20s, I had a real weird thing happen, which today is hilarious. At the time, it was sort of shocking. We were playing in a bar in Milledgeville. That's about an hour south from where we are now. And in Milledgeville, there's a college there and not much else. And there are basically these 4 or 5 bars in about a 2-block radius. And basically the kids get pretty lit and wander from bar to bar. And so we were playing there. We were always very popular there. We were playing. And I was singing the Steve Miller song, The Joker. I don't know if you know it. Great song. There's a line in this song.
Cowboys.
Yeah, that's right. And there's a line that says, I really love your peaches, want to shake your tree.
Right.
That line really amused me. I always thought it was a very funny and clever
That was
line.
taken by from Matchbox, Carl Perkins.
Oh, I didn't
don't want
realize
your
that.
peaches, don't you take my tree. If you don't like my peaches, don't you shake my tree. I'm sitting in a Matchbox.
Oh, yeah, that's a great song.
And the Beatles covered it too. Okay, sorry. Go back to your peaches.
Ringo Starr was the singer of that cover.
Yeah.
That was a Ringo thing. So anyway, I was singing that line, and I always kind of smile real big because I just think it's funny. I'm just kind of having fun.
It is funny.
Well, so there's a girl in front of me that thought I was smiling at her. She didn't know I was blind. And back in my earlier days, I never wore sunglasses or used a cane or anything like that because I was just trying to be really independent, which I still want to be independent. But in today's world where people are looking at their phones and just not paying attention, I use the cane and sunglasses a lot more because it's kind of my way to say, hey, please do not run into me. I can't see you. And
I can whack you with my cane.
I would love, and boy, there's some people that need a good cane whacking. But anyway, so I was smiling, and so apparently, and nobody thought to tell me this, she started provocatively dancing in my direction and showing me all her womanly attributes. And but I didn't know that. And so I went on and we played 3 or 4 more songs, and then we took a break. And she came up to me and said, who the hell do you think you are? I mean, I was really mad. And I was like, whoa, what's going on? I didn't know what was happening. She's like, you smiling at me and I was dancing for you. And then you just ignored me. And I was like, baby, I can't see you. She's like, whatever. And my friend was like, no, he really can't see. She's like, yeah, whatever. And so she was most unhappy with me.
That's funny.
So it was fairly traumatic at the because she was not, I mean, she wasn't, and she was pretty lit. So she was
that sounds
angry.
Lit. Yeah.
She was
not
angry.
the angry drunk.
And she was angry. And so anyway, yeah. So then another time that I think of was not being able to read the room. We have played some very suspect venues over the years, but never gotten in any kind of altercation. We just did our job, got out of there, and some of these venues had really great stages and were real popular. There was places you kind of had to play, even though they were kind of dives. But anyway, we never got into a fight until we played this country club for a Shriners conference. And let me tell you, those guys can put some liquor away. And so we were playing this fancy country club, and I'm standing there taking a break after our set. And this guy literally comes up, and before I know it, he's grabbed me by the collar and pulled me towards him. He was like, boy, you tried to kill us all. And I was like, whoa, what's going on? I said, sir, you need to take your hands off me, please. I said, and so he's like, you need to play us some slow dancing music. I was like, well, we just played Misty. How much slower do you want it? Meanwhile, all my bandmates are getting up and coming over towards us thinking we're going to have a rumble. And this guy was pretty drunk as well and kept sort of trying to shake me and stuff. And he's like, and so anyway, eventually we sort of intimidated him to the point that he let go and went away. But what happened was, so they wanted, I mean, Misty is a pretty slow song.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so me being a smart aleck, I decided that we would do Heartbreak Hotel, which is a fairly, tick, 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 tick. That's about where it lands, you know. And so it's kind of in that range. And I thought, well, we're going to play it really slow to sort of, you know, give this guy the audio finger, as it were. And so I counted it off like this: 1, 2, 3. And we started singing at that tempo. But they got me because they loved it. And the dance floor was crowded. And so really the joke was on me. So anyway, we've had some adventures.
That, you know, but this goes to, you know, what, going back to the tequila and, you know, what it's like to be on stage and the shenanigans that happens. It's very timely, the stories you share, because I know like Miranda Lambert, everyone's giving her flack for calling out that one girl taking a selfie. She's like, you know, you're so busy with your damn phone playing selfie instead of actually hearing the song. And, you know, I know like Jack White makes people put their phones in a bag, like he gathers them, everything's safe and whatever, because it's like, you're here to have an experience, not be, you know, there's photographers for that reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing, but, and then at the same time, Dave Matthews, I just saw a thing of Dave Matthews kicking someone off stage because somebody started fighting. And Dave Matthews is not that kind of music. Dave Matthews is party. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's that kind of like good vibes. And some guy started fighting with someone and he stopped the music and called him out right there and got his security to carry him out and then turned around and carried on playing. So it's like, in a way, people lose that, they ruin the experience for other people sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I have to tell you, so Paul McCartney, I think, handles it really, really well. Now he's getting anywhere from $250 to $1,000 a ticket. So I guess he just laughs all the way to the bank. And, you know, the arenas are packed when he's playing, but he doesn't mind people videoing with his cell phones. And he even said, you know, we can tell when we play a song that you love because it looks like a galaxy out there with all your cell phone lights. And then when we play the new stuff, it looks like a black hole.
Oh, wow.
And so, you know, he just, so, I mean, you know, I a long time ago decided not to try and control everything because it's just too much work. So look, if you want to pirate my show, whatever, I'm just not going to worry about that. I mean, I'm not going to take your cell phones. You're an adult. If you choose to spend money to come see me and then don't enjoy the experience because you're too busy taking selfies, you know, that's your loss. I would, in a perfect world, you know, I would have your rapt attention from start to finish, and we typically do. But you know, if that's what you're about, that's cool. As long as you're not messing up the experience for somebody else, I don't really care. But I mean, I do sympathize with people that get, you know, like I know Bruce Springsteen has been, you know, said a couple things like, hey, and I will tell you this, I went to a venue here in town. Not in town, but in Atlanta. I won't say the name of it, but it was a miserable experience. We saw Jason Bonham, who is the son of John Bonham. Yeah,
we interviewed his sister. His sister, Debbie, was on our show. Deborah Bonham.
Oh, cool. Well, so I went to see him play, and it was really fantastic. But the problem was that the venue was not really designed for music. It packed a bunch of people in. Now the tickets were about $35 a pop, so that's not terrible. But the problem was there were so many people that were drinking and could not handle their liquor that I was literally just bombarded with drunks all night long. And they kept interrupting me while I was trying to listen. And they kept saying, hey, can I sit here? I was like, no, this is my seat. And we had a friend of ours that was supposed to come with us who didn't come. So we had an empty seat, but we had our stuff sitting in it. And we paid for the ticket. And all night long, drunks would come up and want to sit there. I had some lady start putting her hands all over me, which was very disconcerting when you can't see it coming. And it was just awful. So it was a terrible experience. So, you know, when you've got a place that where it's really more of a bar than it is a concert venue, I find that annoying because I'm there to hear the music. That's all I want.
Right.
And so that was very disappointing. So
Yeah, that's
I
sad.
hate those kind of experiences because it was a good show to the point that my wife and I, we actually left early because we just couldn't take it anymore. It
Oh,
was
that
just,
sucks.
it was awful. And I was really enjoying the show, but it was awful. It was awful. So, I do think that in today's society, you're going to have to learn that people are definitely missing a lot of the experience because they're busy with their phones and posting on social media. And I'm not saying that posting on social media is not fun. I think there's a time and a place for it. Like I typically, if I want to take a selfie, if I'm at a concert or something, I do it before the music starts.
Exactly.
I get a nice selfie, and then if I want to take a picture of the band or something like that, Jennifer will do that. But we don't post it right then. We post it later. We stay in the moment and enjoy the moment, and
that's
all that kind
even
of
when we're traveling. We rarely. I'm so guilty of that. Like I saw a bald eagle the other day.
Oh, cool!
And didn't even move to take a photo because I was just like, dude, look at that. And I was like, oh crap! I saw some cranes. I saw and so I don't post immediately all the time because I'm so in that zone. And I'll take photos because that's my job is, doing photos. And if it's on my cell phone, it's like, sorry, folks, it sucks compared. But and then I always go, okay, I'll go put them later. And I do. I'm like, then I get busy. I suck at it. Unless it's like our radio shows and all of that. I'm like, God, I got to get back to it, because it's cool because I want people to see where we go, and same thing as musicians.
Well, that's a little bit different. What you're doing is a little different.
Yeah, but one of the last big concerts we went to was a blues festival in Greeley, Colorado. It was right before the pandemic, and it was fan-freaking-tastic. It was their stadium, so it's where they have their rodeo thing. So if you're sitting and watching one band, and the one band finishes, the next one starts on stage behind you, and you just turn your seat around.
Right.
It was really cool. And we were in the VIP thing and I was there to do the footage and do podcasts and all that stuff. And we saw Larkin and Poe. We saw, who I love.
Fantastic.
Chawa. Oh God, Chawa is awesome. They're from New Orleans and, oh my God, oh, come on. The guy from New Orleans, everybody knows, Dr. John had just passed and he mentored them. So so they had his photo up there and Memphis Slim. No, and then Shiny Ribs. No, was he there? Dr. Slim. Anyway, it was Watermelon Slim was there. There was there was just a ton of people, but I was out there filming and we even got in trouble. They were like, you can't do this. I'm like, I'm here for that reason. And so they were really cracking down on anybody who had real cameras. And yet I was there as media. And then there was another media couple from Boulder, from a newspaper, who do that, like music concert footage. And they weren't letting them. And then eventually they snuck in there like, you go get the photo, we'll help you get you closer to the stage, and you send them to me, we'll publish you, do all, I'm like, this is hysterical because here's all these people doing selfies and publishing it everywhere. And here we are doing the real footage and we're getting in trouble, but it was just a red tape issue. And eventually all was sorted by everybody. But man, it's really difficult because you forget that you're supposed to do your job. And then there's like the thing of getting the bus photo of the musician right in their like wild moment, the wild state. And so you do that and then you're getting pushed by selfies people. And I want to go like, dude, if you don't let us do this, you don't know, you're missing out on the press that the band needs for you to know what the hell's going on. Like back off.
It's baby. Really strange, because the thing is, I think we have to accept for good or ill that the world has changed. And, back in the 80s, bands really had a tight control over bootlegs. But look, everybody has a recording studio in their pocket, a movie studio in their pocket, a computer in their pocket. It's just, you just can't control it. It's the best thing to do is embrace it and just, let it do what it's going to do.
It's a fandom thing too. It's a fandom thing. And so, but tequila does have to do with, this. Well, look at people doing selfies and falling into the Grand Canyon and stuff. Now they're so like the National Park Service you have if you do any filming in a national park, you have to get a permit, which is over $1 million insurance, right? That you have to have coverage to do that because of Grand
so you can't take
Canyons and
selfies anymore?
no, you can, but it's the influencers. Like we were in a park, Petrified Forest National Park, and this lady and her boyfriend, she wants photos of the truck. We need to all stop. And I'm like, you're not a real film crew. I don't care about your influencer stuff.
Right.
I got stuff to do. And no. And here she is, and it's all taking her photo in her cowboy hat. And I'm like, let me have your cowboy hat. I'll show you what to do with it. And so, but now they're going like influencers are going to have to go through that protocol. Whereas they work with us, like, we're not filming for commercial purposes. We're educating. And so we work with the PR section, the public information officers, and it's a little different. And a lot of times they're taking us out, which is, we're so lucky. That's the beauty of our job is we get this inside. We've had a couple of friends and writers go with us, and they're like, dude, you get like the Ranger inside tour. And the Rangers are happy because they get kind of a break away from their, regular duties and stuff, which a lot of them get, you have to work a front desk or something like that. And then they get to be out in the park. But everybody wants to talk to them. Like they are like rock stars in the national parks.
Sure.
Everyone sees that hat and they go walking towards the park ranger. But I want to go back to the food thing here because, there's all these foodie holidays. So we're kicking off with National Tequila Day. There's National Drive-Through Day this week. How many of us go through drive-throughs? And Nancy and I swore on this tour that we wouldn't be like that. But I'm sorry, I do have an affinity for McDonald's coffee. I can't help it. I need it when I drive.
I have to say I've become a little bourgeois in my old age, and I'll drink any coffee that I am forced to drink. But my favorite is either Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, and I do
like a good Dunkin'. Yeah, Starbucks. I'm up in. I like those little stands that are independent.
That'd be wonderful.
Sometimes they're like in a caboose or something. They're cute and cool. How about National Hot Fudge Sundae Day?
Oh my God, I haven't had one of those in years. That sounds amazing.
Me neither. I know, especially in summer. And I like this Culinarians Day. I didn't even know about saying culinarian. That's quite a word, and it sounds really interesting.
I like it. No, that's
the word
bourgeois.
Culinarian.
Culinarian.
What?
Yes.
I'm a culinarian.
Yeah. It should be the name of some cult.
I know it is like the cult of culinarians.
Yeah.
Where do you come from? Oh, I suffer from culinaria. You know what?
I have culinarian's disease.
Yeah, I've got culinarian's disease. I can't stop chopping.
I have to eat my tail. Yeah,
I know, that's it, right? So that's cool, though. It celebrates chefs and all those who are in the culinary world. I love that.
I mean, we had an amazing experience, and you have a lot of these experiences. You stay in a lot of bed and breakfasts, and I know a lot of them. And we got a chance to stay in one when we were on tour back in 2005, in Massachusetts, and so it was amazing. And the chefs, sadly the B&B is no longer there, but the chef was a 5-star chef that retired from the big grind of New York City and came out to run this little B&B with his wife, and talk about just 5-star meals at a budget price. It was amazing. I mean, it was so great to stay there, and so every time we came through Massachusetts, we would stay with them for the next 4 years. I think was a 3 year. Anyway, 2005, 2006, 2007. In 2008, we stayed up there, and we come through, and it was amazing. And one time we were there in the fall, during Halloween, they had a Halloween party, and he did a flight of 21 hors d'oeuvres, and we got smart. We sat at a table because it was real crowded. We sat at a little 2-seat table right by the kitchen door. So every time they come out with a new tray, we got to get them fresh off the tray. It was amazing. So I do love the chefs, the culinary cuisine, the geniuses that make these incredible meals. I mean, that's it's real art treat. It's a real treat to meet someone that knows what they're doing.
They really helped get slow foods back on the table and teach people to go back to organic foods and healthier. And and the chefs want them organic. And
Of
as best
course.
as the produce as best as possible on the meats.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to do as much to it. They're
I
like,
do
hey,
like I do like the new. There's kind of a new thing happening where they're using foods that aren't super attractive looking, but they still taste as good. There's people that are trying to use those foods that are and they get them at a bit of a discount because they're like, oh, this carrot's bent or whatever. But I mean, when you put it in a food, it still tastes great. I mean, and it still looks good the way they present it.
I always like a bent carrot.
Well,
I'm just saying.
I've heard that about you. I read that on a website the other day, and I thought, is this true?
Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just whatever you do, folks, don't go to bentcarrot.com because you may be getting more than what you asked for.
Oh boy. Oh, you know what? It's also National Wine and Cheese Day happens this week, July 25th. Like, to me, National Wine and Cheese Day is every day.
That's
what I love our wine. We always have our wine.
Well, what kind of cheese do you prefer?
Dude, okay. Like, don't start me. Like, I don't think there's a cheese I don't like.
I could live in a cheese shop and be happy.
Oh God, like a really good grilled cheese sandwiches, like there is nothing like that. Like, to me, National Avocado Day happens this week too. Now, there's this bar in Julian up in the mountains. Now, if you go to Julian up in the mountains of San Diego,
Julian, where? Okay, all right, that's what.
Julian is known for apples and apple pie. Grow their own apples. They have a flourishing wine. Wineries. It used to be one winery. Now the whole region is covered in wineries. And also breweries, which is very cool. And they actually starting to grow hops out there, which is nice. One of our good friends, Chef Jeremy Manley, runs a restaurant up there, and we knew him since he was a kid. He went to Cordon Bleu. He did the whole thing. He is one badass chef, and even does
that's awesome.
Like food for people doing CrossFit and stuff. So he's really health conscious. He's done a lot. He does like senior meals during the pandemic. He did senior meals. He did off pandemic the meals for kids in the school, and because we didn't realize how bad it was about like how the budget for meals for kids in the schools, he's like, they're not getting any real protein. And so he had to get really, really creative about putting protein in on a budget that was still healthy and good and not like bad stuff. Like, he was teaching kids to like quinoa so they would have a complete protein and introducing them, and he lets kids come in there in the back kitchen all the time so they can
that is
what
so
cool.
Cool.
Cooking's about and stuff. Yeah, everyone, jeremy'sonthehill.com. He's awesome. His food is phenomenal. But up in Julian, I learned how to make this grilled cheese sandwich. Now, Texas toast, right? Like that big thick. Okay, so you got to have Texas toast. So you can't just put it in a toaster. You've got to fry it afterwards with some good butter, right?
Okay.
But you put a few pickles.
Now you say fried. Do you mean sear or fry when you talk about the butter?
Well, sear, fry. You don't want to deep fry it or anything. Like saute, like a little bit of butter, and you toast. I always like to toast the buns, I like to toast my buns.
I've heard that about you as well.
I know, but you toast.
The pictures are disconcerting.
It's about big, thick slices of toast. It's better than Wonder Buns. This bread, I'm telling you.
Okay.
And so you can put on a grill. That's what they're doing. They're doing that big grill thing. Yes. So they put a few pickles, slices. Now, more of like a dill than the sweet ones. This guy have a little zing to it.
Yeah.
And then they put slices of avocado, right? Just lightly. Just kind of, it's like you're almost using it as a butter. And then thick cheeses, like thick slices of cheese, like Monterey kind of style. And then maybe on top of it, some really sharp cheddar.
Nice.
And then they close it and they grill it. And if you've had too much tequila, this is an excellent sandwich. If you haven't and you have it with a glass of wine, it's really good. I know it's like a greasy thing, but it is and I've never been able to replicate it like how they did it. I think it's because you need that kitchen grill, but there's just like the sweetness from the bread, let me just go on and on. But wine and cheese, but what about brie? Do you like brie?
Love it. Oh yeah.
Brie, strawberry, champagne.
We should put in the playlist if we can find it on YouTube. Is the Monty Python cheese sketch the cheese shop sketch. So
Okay.
yeah, it's brilliant, and it names about 25 different real cheeses that sound like they're not real cheeses, but they really are. So
Well, yeah.
it's
I'll find it because there's a cheese song from our friend Wally Lauder. I
oh
can't
yeah,
pronounce it. It's just a lot of cheese. It's about a cheese shop in France, and he
I
has all
love it.
these names. I can't pronounce the song title, but it'll
That's
be
okay.
there.
It'll
It'll
be there.
be there.
Just look around and you'll find it. I have to say, I'm a cheeseaholic. I love it. I've tried cheeses from all over the world. Never met a cheese that I didn't like. I recently also had an excellent grilled cheese sandwich when I was on the road in Indiana. We went to a local barbecue place that the name I can't quite remember. I think it's Smoked Rib is what it's called, but I'm probably getting that wrong. But anyway, it was a brisket grilled cheese sandwich, and it had the thick Texas toast. It had a couple of different cheeses in there, and then just brisket that melted in your mouth. It was amazing. So I'm
Ooh,
a big
I like
fan.
this.
I'm a big
Now,
fan.
what about you like coffee? Now, there's also a National Coffee Milkshake Day. That sounds really
I
good to
haven't
me.
had a coffee milkshake, but I'm willing to try it.
It's with ice cream. I mean, coffee and ice cream.
I mean,
Dude.
they go well together. I must say, I agree.
Oh
with
yeah,
that.
Bagel Fest. Apparently,
Bagels are my favorite. I'm not eating them much right now because I'm still trying to lose a little weight. And they have a ton of carbs. They're very carb heavy, but they are delicious.
When you're fat, when you're fast on the road, like for us, if we're really like a bagel and cream cheese, it'll, normally like a couple slices of toast, you'll burn that off pretty fast.
Oh yeah,
but a bagel and cream cheese will last for a while. You know what I mean?
it does. It'll hold you for a while. And my favorite bagels. I used to love to go to Carnegie Deli in New York, and I don't think it's open anymore, which is depressing. But they had the best bagels, and for about $10, you get the biggest breakfast you've ever seen. Bagels, salmon, cream cheese, eggs. It was amazing.
Wow. Now, what about tofu? It's World Tofu Day on the 26th.
Yeah, I mean, I've had good tofu, but rarely.
Yeah, it has to be done right. Oh, now there was a pizza that we knew, a pizza place up in Julian too, and they had this vegan Thai pizza, and it had tofu on it, no cheese because it's vegan, and it was so flavorful like that. And they used to do like a salad pizza, so it was like a balsamic salad on it. And
nice.
It was I mean it is different. So that's pretty much the only tofu. I don't think my stomach likes tofu. It doesn't like the soy stuff. But what it does like is National Chili Dog Day. Dude. This is a fattening show today. What the hell?
It is. The only thing about those chili dogs is sometimes they bark at night. So you got to be careful with that.
Ah, see, I know. And they're hot.
Yeah.
They're hot dogs.
But I love a good chili dog. Speaking of fast foods, I mean, one of the places that has a great chili dog is Sonic. I think they have a great chili dog.
I haven't had anything from Sonic.
It's the chili cheese coney. You want to try it?
What about the Wiener Schnitzel? They had good chili dogs, as I recall. We used to get that after a band show. Yeah, in San Diego, we used to have them. They're like little roofy A-framey houses kind of thing.
I have never been to one. I feel like I'm missing something important.
Well, what about it's National Creme Brulee? This is a very bad week for our system, but it sounds good to me.
Yeah, if you're on a diet,
Creme
don't
brulee?
listen to this show. Yeah.
Yeah, and then National Refreshment Day. Oh, let's just have it all.
What does that mean?
Hey, there's a National Nancy Day. Oh, she's gonna be so bummed.
Nice.
She was emailing me during the show. I can come now. I'm taking a break. I can come.
Not too late, Nancy. Too late.
I know. Well, I think she heard tequila. But it's her day, so we'll have to celebrate Nancy. It's Nancy Day.
Absolutely. Happy Nancy Day, everybody.
And you were talking about England. Norfolk Day is coming up on the 27th of July. And everyone got an article from our friend Glenn Burrows about the 10 must-do things when you go to Norfolk, England. And one of those things is ice cream. Just going back to the food. Okay. Yes, because hey, now what about, there's Chicken Finger Day.
Yeah.
Yep. I like a good chicken finger.
Zaxby's has great chicken fingers.
Now, I don't know if this goes in the food world, but I have to bring this up. July 27th happens to be Barbie in a blender day. Like, what the hell, dude?
What does that mean?
They put a Barbie doll in the blender, Like,
Why?
I don't. I what the hell is this fascination with Barbie dolls anyway?
Can I
It's
just
kind of
say,
gone.
all right, so two things about Barbie. Neither are controversial, I would think. Um,
Oh, you go go for it.
well, so the first one is when I get bored and I'm standing in a place that has things for sale. If you leave me alone too long, or I have to wait in line too long, I start feeling around, trying to see what's in front of me, you know. And so if you're in a grocery store paying at the cash register, you know, there's candy bars and gum typically up there. You feel around, so Tic Tacs. But I was at a Cracker Barrel once and had been standing there for quite a while, and I got bored. And it was Christmas time. And so I started feeling around because they normally have these Christmas trees in the Cracker Barrel, and they have all these ornaments for sale on it. And I was feeling around, and there was a Barbie doll in a swimsuit as an ornament. Now, I'm not sure why. I don't know why you'd want that on your tree, but whatever. If it makes you happy, go for it. But I'd never really touched the Barbie doll before. And, you know, I'm sorry, but Barbie is smoking hot, is all I can tell you. I
Oh my God,
lusted after that.
that's like you doing a mannequin, dressing a mannequin.
Whatever, dude. You know, I mean, she had all the curves in all the right places, all I'm saying. And but Barbie was hot. And I have to say, I was a little lusty after that. It was
Oh, Joey,
so,
Joey, if you like Barbies that much, right?
yeah,
You're in Macon. Okay.
yeah.
All right. Near you, well, kind
Yes,
of,
I know.
maybe not.
This is what I was going to tell you. That was my
Barbie
next
Beach.
thing. Barbie Beach in
Have you been
Carrollton,
there?
Georgia.
Yeah, I've
yes,
been there.
Yes, I have, and it's highly disturbing.
Listen.
That
I
was the
was
other thing I
when we
wanted
were
to talk about. Yeah.
Sonoya. Yeah, we went there a couple years ago with our friends, and I have photos that I could not put on Facebook because I knew Facebook would take them down and I'd get
Well,
kicked
they're all
off.
naked. I mean, they're these Barbies
No,
buried
they're not naked. They're naked at a
in.
beach Barbie bar. Going back to bar brawls. Okay, so now we're gonna have to put the bar brawl songs in here. Beach bar Barbies, and Ken's doing things I didn't want to see.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you're changed after it, right? I mean, you're a different person now.
how does this stuff happen? I'm gonna have to
Well,
put Barb.
it's some
Okay.
lady's. You know, it's at some lady's house. You know, and she just has these Barbie dolls out in this sort of sand pit.
And she has a Barbie Beach parking spot.
Yeah, it's really disturbing. But you know what? It's well worth going to see. And you can't see the Georgia Guidestones now because somebody blew those up. So this is one of our sort of last great independent landmarks.
Oh man, I see. This is yeah. All right. It also is National Scotch Day, and you may need that after you see Barbie, or you may want to see it before you see
have to
Barbie.
drink the pain away. Drink the pain
Yeah,
away.
you're gonna Oh, we're gonna have to have one Scotch, one bourbon, one beer. National
Absolutely.
Milk Chocolate Day. This is really a dangerous week for food.
Do you know
It's fantastic.
the one Scotch, one bourbon, one beer makes me think of George Thorogood.
I think he did one of the best versions. I know,
and I got to
he's got
interview
John
him
Lee
once.
Hooker.
Yeah.
John Lee Hooker's got it. Oh, and his daughter lives near Sonoya too. We went to see her, Zakia. She lives out there. She comes on our show a lot. And her husband Olin, Christopher Olin Bell. You guys, I mean, he's got that voice, that old school R&B, like real R&B. Like nowadays, I don't think people know what R&B is. That's
it's different.
Rant. Okay, that's a good word, different.
Yeah.
But there's the style, there's a class, there's a dynamic, the harmony, and then off stage, all kinds of drama, right? That you don't see or imagine. But that music, it's really good. Okay, what about lasagna? Because it's Lasagna Day. God.
Well, what day is that?
That is National Lasagna Day is on the 29th of July.
All right. So first of all, that always makes me think of Garfield.
That makes sense. Yeah, because he always had lasagna.
He always loved lasagna. I'm a big fan of Garfield. I think he's hilarious. In fact, I have a Garfield cat that my grandmother gave me on a Valentine's Day box of candy back in the 90s. And he was a little Garfield cat that had suction cups on all his paws. And he's still stuck to my back door windows. and I've had him since the 90s. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Garfield, and I'm a big fan of lasagna, to tell you the truth. I mean, again, I try not to eat it because I'm trying to lose weight, but it's delicious.
Hey, it's International Tiger Day too. That's on the same day as now what is Garfield Day. And so tigers are amazing.
I love tigers, and I mean, I wouldn't put my head in their mouth or anything crazy like that, but I love tigers. I am a collector of what the English call soft toys and what we in the States call stuffed animals. And I think part of it is, as a really sick child, people would bring them to me, and it always made me feel a little bit better. And it gave me some playmates that could stay in the hospital with me. And so I have never given up on that part of my childhood. Wherever we travel in the world, we always look for a stuffed animal to bring back with us from our journey. And I have my favorite little tiger that I have. He's about the size of my palm. He's a little bit. He's not super. He's maybe, I don't know, 6 inches tall, maybe 2.5 inches wide, something like that. Maybe about 3 inches deep. And he's just this little tiger. And I named him Courage because I was having a really hard time health-wise back when my wife and I got married. I'd had a hip surgery that was very unexpected. It was a latent issue from the brain tumor that took my sight as a child. And my bone literally just like crumbled into dust and just like eroded. And I was in a wheelchair for about 7 months. And I was having a really hard time after the surgery, just feeling bad and just having a hard time. And I wasn't able to really do much. I had to ask everybody to help me do things. And I had this bar that hung over my bed that I had to use to pull myself up and all this stuff. And I was having just a really sad day, just feeling kind of down. And so she brought this little stuffed animal to me, and I named him Courage. And he used to help me because I had really bad nights where I was having trouble breathing. It's all this whole thing because I had an allergic reaction to the anesthesia, and so it was giving me all kind of issues. And so I'd be awake at night, and nobody else in the house would be awake. And so I had this little stuffed animal that I would hold, and he was very comforting. And so I love little tigers. Tigers were great. I had a little cat named Lulu that passed away back in 2016. But she thought she was a tiger. She really thought she was a big, tough kitty cat, and she really wasn't. But sometimes she really disliked crows. And whenever there was a crow in the backyard, she'd give this tiger like growl. I mean, it was like wow, that. And she would give this tiger growl, and that's the only time that she was always so gentle and sweet and kind. But boy, she thought she was a tiger when those crows came up. She did not like it. So I like National Tiger Day.
It's international because you got to think they're from India in that area, and we are really short on tigers in the world. And a lot of times, you see them on movies and films and zoos. And zoos are controversial because did they take them from the wild? And yet they're starting to do a lot better programs. And there's the education part, but don't get me started on that because that's a whole other show. We've done many, and I get a little hot under the collar. But tigers are, I was raised with a tiger, a baby tiger, for like the first year of my life, and a little lion, a cub, and Nancy was rehabilitating them. They had parvovirus, and she was taking care of them for a famous Hollywood person.
How long can you keep a tiger like that? Because I mean, they are wild animals, right?
Yeah, and then they started destroying the house, and then
So how long?
We had a couple others, and this was when we lived in LA area, and she then created a pen, and then realized she put the pen around a tree, and then the lions figured out how to get up the tree, and then they decided they would just walk out the gate, and we had a pride of lions walking down the neighborhood street, and yep, she had to go pay for a permit and stuff. Nancy was in and out of court with animals because she was taking care. She was working for a nonprofit, but at the same time, there was an actor very famous and who had all these animals and used them in her movies and didn't take care of them. And Nancy did, and eventually they ended up on a show together in England, Pebble Mill at one. And almost had a cat fight right on stage because of. So anyway, it's a long story, and all I know is you're talking about crows. Well, there's a lot of crows around that woman. Anyway, Just a hint there, a little Alfred Hitchcockian hint.
Yeah, that's good.
Anyhow, moving forward, we're talking about, wildlife. National Mutt Day comes up this week. I think that's important. As we pet sit across the country. We love our animals, and majority of the animals that we sit for and take care of are rescues and mutts. And they are so sweet and come from backgrounds like you don't know really what happened, but just like people who have gone through traumatic situations, it's important to be there for these animals and have the patience.
Absolutely.
And I want to give a shout out to all the pet parents who have adopted these animals into their homes and gone through a lot of steps to learn how to communicate and work and get the dog into their family past that traumatic stage. Because it's a sad thing, but it's a beautiful thing. It's also World Ranger Day. I want to listen real quick. There's other food in there. I'm just saying there's Jump for Jelly Beans Day. And I just have to finish the food. There's National Cheesecake Day. I'm all into that. I know. Anyway, so there's a lot of things about good people. And I think that's important. And one of them, let's go where I was talking about World Ranger Day. This is so important. America started the National Park Service. And from there, England started, Australia started, Canada, I think was a second, I'm not sure. Africa had their national parks. And I always thought, because I grew up there, that, hey, Kenya, we started because we have all these big wild animals. Of course, America has wild animals. I just had to grow up and come here. But rangers are, like I was saying before we recorded, Joey, like the rock stars of the parks. They're like a walking encyclopedia of knowledge of these landscapes, not just the wild animals and the ecosystems and the biodiversity, but the history, the geology of the people that lived on these lands before they became protected as parks. And the people part is really important. You've got pioneers. By the way, it's Pioneer Day too. One of these days, you've got pioneers, Native Americans. You've got so much history. Some of the parks are actually internment camps for the Japanese. In California, we have one. Some of the National Park Service, our rangers, one is Stonewall, which celebrates gay rights after the Stonewall riots in New York City.
Oh, right. Yeah.
These are all part of our national parks. And so our rangers have to know all these different things. They also have to know about wild animals and what happens if you have to rescue one or maybe put one down because people kept feeding the bears and then the bear attacks for food and then, what happens to the bear. So they do so much. And there's rescue rangers that rescue people from cliffs when that happens, from rivers. There are park police that protect places like the National Mall in Washington, D.C., including the White House is a national park unit. So we have police that are part of our rangers. There's rangers who put their life on the line every single day around the world and in Africa against poachers, which means you're going to get shot at. Mm-hmm. So they're, the wildfire fighters in our rangers. So there's so many things that they do, education and safety. And it's a very special, important day. So it kind of goes with Good Samaritan Day that's also happening this week. Don't you think, Joey?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that. I like the idea that we think of our neighbors and our fellow beings and try to help. I think that's when we're at our best. When we, it doesn't have to be a national or international emergency to be a good Samaritan. Honestly, I think just by smiling and being kind and saying a word of kindness to people, that's being a good Samaritan for mental health. Because we've got plenty of good science that shows that you pick up on whatever is out there. And so if you've got someone that has a sweet attitude, and that's especially important in my mind in like our hospital systems where people are afraid, they're not feeling well. So being kind and courteous is like a very important to me. And I feel like that goes along with being a good Samaritan. I think one of the things, like I know several people that are police officers. In fact, the drummer in my band trains other law enforcement officers and was just in a wreck. He got rear-ended by a semi. And
Ooh.
his thought was, he couldn't avoid the collision, but his thought was, I'm being propelled forward by the semi. Can I drive in such a way that I don't hit anybody else? And then after the accident, he jumped out of his car and wasn't worried about his own health, but went and helped somebody else who had been in front of him to make sure they were okay. So to me, that's a good Samaritan. And my wife has done, as a medical provider, she's an advanced practice nurse. She has helped people in airports, McDonald's, all kinds of things if they were in distress or whatever, and went and helped them. And me being the guy that I am, it's like, honey, that people are so crazy these days that if you try and help somebody, they might sue you. I've seen it happen, and there actually is a Good Samaritan law that protects people that are just trying to help. So don't be afraid to help your fellow beings if you can.
That's a good point, because you go and you give someone life support and something went wrong. Oh, you shouldn't have done that.
You broke my ribs. Yeah.
Yeah. Get on with it. Oh, your ribs will be fine. They just grow back.
I mean, hey, it's better than dying.
Yeah. And hey, listen, it's also, there's a National Whistleblower Day. I give my hat off to those people that I blow that whistle on really bad corruptive things in our world.
Yeah.
I think it's important. And, majority of them were journalists at one point, and we still have some of those journalists. We still have them, and some of them are stuck in prison cells overseas,
It's funny because when I was a kid, journalists were so revered and, worked so hard to be impartial.
They're watchdogs.
And they are. And, nowadays we don't have as much journalism as we used to. We have pundits, which are media personalities giving you their opinion on the news, but not just reporting the news. And I would love to get back to that, where we have people that are, impartially reporting the news instead of, I can form my own opinion. I don't need that.
Exactly. No, it's true. Some other good things is support public education day. I think that's a huge deal.
Oh, big deal.
It's also World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, and that's a huge, human trafficking.
Oh, that's awful.
It's a massive thing that we have, and we've done a number of shows on it. And there's people I know who do not believe this happens in our backyard in America. It does.
Oh, it
does. In fact, the show we did was talking about Sonoma County, the wonderful wine region of California. And basically they drug people. They start kids in school, lure somebody like a special needs kid, come play with me. Oh, I got, a friend. Next thing you know, they get them drugged up and they're permanently drugged and raped and used for sex, used for all kinds of things. And of course, there's human trafficking over borders. If they traffic human, they traffic drugs, they traffic animals like tigers, all kinds of things. Once a trafficker, always a trafficker of anything they want to traffic.
Yeah.
It's the same person.
It's horrifying.
The same system. It's but those people who go after them, because these are intensely, I'm going to say psychopathic criminals, that really have no feelings. We talk about rapists and they say there's rehabilitation, people become criminals from reasons,
Right.
Sometimes it could be abuse that's run through one generation after generation, eventually become a criminal through trauma, through mental illness, all of that. But then there's, people that become rapists, and they are not, like, you can't really reverse that, So it's when you get those kind of cold-blooded, it's sad. And it's sad that we have people like that. But, it happens even in the wildlife world too, but for people to go against them and put themselves in harm's way every day to save those people. And you hear about, like Elizabeth Smart and people that are, in the basement for years, their own families doing it. It's like, what the hell, man? Seriously.
It makes no sense to me. It's hard to fathom.
Yeah, but here's a really good thing. It's International Day of Friendship is this week. We've got Share a Hug Day, which, during the pandemic, none of us could really celebrate that.
That's true. I'm a big hugger. I am a hugger. So,
well, that's, I think there's an energy that we give each other,
Yeah.
There's also, National Challenge Champions and Heroes Awareness Day. We love that. There is National Lipstick Day for all you Barbie lovers.
Hey, lipstick's a good thing, but you have to be careful because if you're out late at night kissing your date and you come back with lipstick on your collar and you're blind, you don't know that. Then everybody is like making fun of you. You're like, what are you guys talking about? And so, I had to say very quickly, oh, that's probably ketchup.
Oh, come on. Here's an important one, National Talk in an Elevator Day. Because, you get on an elevator and people start looking down, looking up, like looking to the side. And I
find the best way to liven up the elevator is to start screaming.
I
feel like that. Yeah. Just like, oh my God, and then everybody starts talking. So I feel like it's a great way to break the ice. Great way to break the ice to say, hey, listen, if this elevator starts to plummet to our deaths, remember to jump before it hits the ground.
Yeah, that really helps. Yeah. And but I'm the person who will fart because we had all that cheese. Yeah, you fart. Let one go. Let it rip.
Yeah. I mean,
who cut the cheese?
Say about that? Yeah, I'll say this. I know that I was meant to be a musician because I am so musical in every aspect. So even when I expel,
it was Chili Dog Day.
That's right. Even when I spell gaseous emissions, they are so beautifully in pitch.
Listen, don't even start me on this conversation because I'm fascinated how we can blow our own trumpet, basically. And there's and how some people can silence them. They have a silencer on there.
I do not have that.
Everybody's got different levels of control. I'm like, were we born with gears for that? Like,
I just think that
do
my
we have
mind
four-wheel
is so
drive?
Musical. Yeah. That's, everything's musical about me. Yeah.
Yeah, just hook it up to a Marshall stack. Yeah.
I'll tell you, now you've got me. Now now I want to do that. Now I'm gonna have to do that. I will also say July 31st is a special day to me and probably many other nerds out there because it's Harry Potter's birthday.
See.
So if you have the chance on the 31st, I think it's time to reread one of your favorite Harry Potter books. I am going to do that on the 31st. I happen because I'm working a long weekend, and I'm gonna take that day partially off. When you own your own business, you're never fully off. But I'm gonna read a little Harry Potter, and of course, being blind, I have the audiobooks. So, and I have my pick because I'm silly like this. I have imported the British audiobooks, which are read by Stephen Fry, but I also have the American audiobooks, which are read by Jim Dale. So I have my pick of two excellent narrators that I can choose.
I personally, and I'm not putting the other guy down at all because I don't know, but Stephen Fry, anything about Stephen Fry, I'm in. I don't care what it is.
He's amazing. He's amazing.
I love Stephen Fry. I like his big face. I like his sense of humor. His humor is off the wall.
Oh,
he's a smart, cynical at times man.
He's extremely intelligent.
He's like a British George Carlin in a way, in a weird way.
I could see that.
You know what I mean? Some of the stuff he goes off on, I'm like, it's not necessarily popular with a lot of people, like what he goes off on. But I think it's pretty.
He doesn't care.
No, he doesn't.
He's fantastic. He was a host of a game show called QI, quite interesting, for a number of years. And that is the most fascinating show. He was so amazing on that. It was kind of like a mix between Jeopardy and like a skit comedy show. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. You can find it on YouTube.
That's cool. Now I'm gonna have to go find that because I will.
It's amazing.
Like I said, because he did the driving one too, and all that. Listen, this is one big one that we wanted to talk about. At the top of our list it's Buffalo Soldiers Day on July 28th, and
yes,
this is such a huge part of our African American history of this country, and often kind of overlooked. I know Joey. Of course, we're gonna have Buffalo Soldier. Right, and then the music playlist.
Yeah. But I wanted you to talk about it because I think so many people don't know what a Buffalo Soldier is.
Well, the Buffalo Soldiers, they were our African American soldiers, and they went on to do many good things, and a lot of them in the Army. In fact, they actually fought against the Native Americans on our side at different times, and they were back in 1866, and is really that time frame when the cavalry regiment came out. They were formed in Leavenworth, Kansas, and Captain Charles Young. This man was actually the first captain, and I didn't realize. I'm just looking this up now. But they fought in the American Indian Wars, the Spanish American War, the Philippine American War, the Mexican Border War, World War I, and World War II. So these guys are badasses, okay?
Yeah.
And really, you've got to think that the Civil War just ended, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to think about that time frame. I'm just going to make sure about the Civil War. I was just doing something on Gettysburg too.
Yeah.
Civil War ended 1865. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
1860. I mean, so this went from that to that. In fact, Nancy and I were just at Honey Springs Battlefield in Oklahoma, and we saw the demonstration and everything. And we've had this story on our show too for our Jefferson Highway show, because Motoring Day is coming up. Got to bring that up too.
Yes.
Gosh, we got so much to mention. But in this battle, and this was a very, a lot of people don't realize that Civil War went into the Southwest, right? Missouri was like that middle zone. Like in Missouri, the state of Missouri was fighting each other because of the Civil War. Missouri is a fascinating state about that stuff. But in Oklahoma, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's by Lake Eufaula, the largest lake in Oklahoma. And I swear I saw snakes in the water there. I'm serious. We thought it was a fish, and then instead, go film it, go film. I have to look at the footage. And I'm going, but there's millions of them, and they're long. Like, dude. Anyway, so I do like snakes, but I like to say hi. It's nice to see you over there. You get a lot of them in Arkansas in the water. I filmed snakes in the water out here in North Carolina. Yeah, the rattlesnakes get in the water too, and people forget that they go up trees as well. So always, look up. And Joey, you better wear big boots. If you go out in the park with us, we'll take care of you.
Snakes. Yeah, I don't like snakes, and I don't go where they might be. So
I will protect you on all of that level, because they always go for me. But the last snake, a good snake encounter we had is a cottonmouth in Okefenokee Swamp in Georgia. Very cool. After a big alligator too. Going back to this battlefield, in this battlefield, we had the North and the South basically against each other, right? The Union and here we had white people fighting each other from same families, some of them, Black soldiers, and Native Americans, even split down the middle. Is that not wild? Including families. Yeah. Hell of a story.
Yeah.
Once you get in that zone, and you've got to, it wasn't, the Civil War was not about slavery. I don't want to say just slavery. Slavery was a big deal. It was a big issue, and apparently still is, and is. We still have slaves. We still have this as an issue, and obviously a very bad thing. And so was sharecropping that came next. And there were white people in sharecropping families, Black people in sharecropping families throughout the South. But Civil War was also about land and rights. So it was a different thing. So our Buffalo Soldiers were part, I think that's where it started to come out. So that's what I was thinking with the Buffalo Soldiers. But Charles Young, this guy was way up there as a captain in the Buffalo Soldiers. And he ended up, once this period had ended, up as the acting superintendent of Sequoia National Park. Now, at that point, Sequoia National Park is right next to what is Kings Canyon, which is the second national park in the country. At that time, it was General Grant, after General Grant. And we've got the General Sherman tree there, the giant sequoia, the General Grant tree there too. And there's a Clara Barton tree. I've got to bring that up. But Charles Young, so when you go up there now they went through a series of wildfires last year and the year before, and then this huge snow from the winter and slides and everything. So They just opened up, I think it was July 6th, around the 4th of July weekend, they opened up finally. Because they were closed going in from the entrance of Three Rivers, California. So Sequoia and Kings Canyon is joined by the General's Highway, and that's the main highway. But this road winds up from the foothills. So Tulare County is like your base. It's a valley. It's one of the biggest agricultural areas we have in the country and in the world. It is known as America's breadbasket. Over 200 to 300 crops are grown, as well as dairy and all of that.
Wow,
so
that's awesome.
It's massive in what they do, but it's all these really charming historic downtowns, like with the old Fox theaters, and you got to go play there, Joey, and right there by Bakersfield. So like Buck Owens and the Bakersfield Sound came right out of there, and you had oil going on there. So there's Taft and Tarbell and outside of Bakersfield. So this is this whole San Joaquin Valley, right? So anyways, you go up, you're winding through the foothills, and you're going up. You're winding all the way up to what's known as the giant forest, which has the world's largest, it's the biggest tree in the world by volume. Coastal redwoods are the tallest. And they're massive. It takes, I think they said like 30 kids to wrap their arms around it in a circle. How big they can be. So it's around that. Anyway, going back to Charles Young, they didn't have a superintendent. Here's this park designated right next to what was General Grant at the time, and it got expanded by a woman, by the way, Priscilla Thew. But he comes in, he made that road happen in one summer. Like this dude said, okay, we're lining everyone together. We need a road to come in because you can't have people in a park without a road. And that's what he did. He was famous for that. He was also our very first National Park Service superintendent, even though he was an acting superintendent, our very first African-American superintendent of a national park. So that's just one, and there's so much history with him, like I'll be here for years. And so if you go to Sequoia and Kings Canyon, that's what I was saying, you talk to the rangers, go to a ranger program. There's so much more to learn. Obviously, you want to see the big trees and experience that and touch them, and because they're spongy, the bark is spongy. It's cool. It's very humbling. But there's all these people history, like Charles Young, Priscilla Thew, who rode on her horse back in the days, like 1920s, out on her horse, rode alone through the wilderness to map it out. And that's how we got the expansion of the park and actually got Kings Canyon even extended. And Ansel Adams was inspired by her. And did things. So there's all these stories that come, and of course, Native American history for sure, up there, very, very prominent. So yeah, sorry, Buffalo Soldiers. I went off on a tangent. But yeah, this is the thing. Traveling is good. We talk about that motoring day. That's exciting to me. It's about go out, take a drive, a little road trip. But old school days, like the Sunday drive, and then you go home and have a Sunday dinner. Yeah. I think it's important if you can go to a park, have a picnic, take a little drive with your family, your friends.
We totally don't do that anymore. Yeah, people just don't do it much like they used to.
Yeah, we want that.
I would love to be able to just drive. That's one of the biggest things about being blind is not being able to just go where you want on a whim. But I would love to be able to drive. We took a little drive the other day. We were down in Jacksonville, Florida, which is
nice.
Lived there for many years as a child, and we were down at Mayo Clinic down there, and so we had a little time after one of the doctor's appointments, and we drove down to St. Augustine Beach, which is also where I grew up, and we didn't have a lot of time, but we just kind of drove. One of the things is that you can drive on the beach down there. So we took a little beach drive for about 20 minutes, and it was worth it. So it took about an hour to get down there, and we drove down, and it was beautiful. It was great. You get our car has a sunroof, so we opened that sucker up and just got some of that great beach air. Yeah. So but taking the drives is great. I mean, it's a great way to spend a little time. And the other thing that's exciting is you can play some really great music. You can put together a great driving playlist and hear some good music.
I love that. Yeah, exactly. And I think this National Day of Motoring was started by the Mini USA, the mini cars. Remember those little minis? You used to get them in England. Everybody would pile into a little mini. And I go, oh my God, how do you do that?
UK, yeah.
Yeah, that's where it started
we
from.
We started playing a game. My dad's driver, when we were in Indiana, my dad had to take me to an appointment in Indiana, which is about a 13-hour drive from where we are. And we started playing a game on the highway. It was my goal to keep my dad's driver awake. He's a young kid, about 19 years old. And I was like, you got to stay awake. I'll help you stay awake. So we started playing a game, and two of the games were, one was like guess the color of the truck, like the semi. You may be interested to know that most semis are white.
Mm-hmm.
There were not a large variety of colors. And then we also played a game like guess the personality. I won't tell you what we called it, but guess the personality of the person in the car. So by describing the car, I had to pick if the person was a nice person or not. And we spied a young lady in a smart car, which is the closest thing we had to the Mini Coopers today. And I have to say, I don't know why you'd want one of those.
I can't see it because, I do want to say this. America needs to go back to driver's ed. Just a PSA, because even getting here, there were 3 accidents in a row, and then people driving through the median to get past it, driving off road to get in front of, and then just more accidents. It was like this chain reaction. It's insane.
But people their situational awareness has disappeared, and people are watching their phones as they drive. And
that's what it is.
Sometimes you have to look at a GPS, but at the same time, you can look at it and then not stare. But
yeah, because the Jeep, we call ours Jane, because Jane says, Jane's Addiction. Hey, listen, that song's going on the playlist. I love that song. And so she always tells me where to go. And Nancy loves that because she goes, I can take a break from telling you where to go, but I kind of enjoy it too. But but she does. And you do a glimpse and she'll tell you. And some areas she gets all twirled around and has taken me to dead ends. And she took me to an ATV bridge in the middle of a national wildlife refuge in Louisiana, and there's hunters all around. I'm like, Nancy, we're dead. And so she said, well, let's have a picnic and get out some wine. I'm like, all right, fine. We'll go sit on the bridge that only ATVs can cross, but that's the truth. I think it's the cell phones, but those little cars, like there's those teeny little box thingies, and supposedly really, really safe. And we knew a guy who had one. Yep. And within the second week of driving one, which I feel like, when you see your dog scoot on the carpet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've got, they either have worms or they need their anal glands played with. Anyway, we're back to that.
Who doesn't need that?
Yeah. We're back to that. But that's what I feel like in these little cars, like your butt is skidding along the ground. I want to be.
I just don't get it. I don't know why you'd buy one. I mean,
he survived. He got in a major wreck. He rolled. And he survived fine. The car didn't look good.
Was it a miracle or was the car sturdy? Well,
apparently these things are sturdy, and it's
hard to believe. I mean, they look like a clown car.
See, I want to get a crowbar now. That's what I want, because I feel like, we used to have them in South Africa and Kenya. All of us in front of trucks and vans. We used to call them combis. You put them on the front so that it's like a giant grid. Like if someone hits you, they hit that. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like we need that sometimes just for people to understand.
On the way home from Indiana, we were at a stoplight and somebody rammed us from behind. But fortunately, we had a trailer hitch that stuck out from behind our bumper by about 8 inches, and it didn't mess the trailer hitch up at all, and it messed up their grill, which is appropriate because they drove off after they hit us.
Dude, that happened to me in Mexico all the time. And
I'm like, hey, man.
It shakes you up when something like that happens. Your heartbeat's going for a while.
And we were sitting still at a red light. I mean, and then bam.
Are you sure you weren't driving their car?
I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, by the way, Blind Man Driving is going to be in the playlist again. We keep playing the song, and it's a good song, so we got to keep playing it and adding it to the music list. But
absolutely.
Everyone get out there and drive. But I think it is a phone thing. And remember, you're supposed to have a car space. It's like a space of a car between you and the person in front of you.
Well, my wife says, and I have no way of she says she was always taught to have 2 car lengths between her and the next car.
Oh, well, she's giving an extra one. I'm on her side. I don't want people sniffing my butt,
Yeah.
because then,
Unless
it's like,
money changes hands.
yeah, exactly. And I'll go eat the chili dog first. That's how it is. Well, that's a
Absolutely.
nice way to close the show. But
Absolutely.
yeah, we want people to be safe and happy. Stay safe, be happy, stay in one piece, get home
Absolutely.
safely. Go, oh man, we had an awesome drive. We had a good time. Go on those little roads like the historic Jefferson Highway. Nancy and I just did a 4-day road trip from Kansas City, and there's some shenanigans in this, really. We drove up, we did the Jefferson Highway. We stopped off at different places, a lot of parks, and we got bitten by the mosquitoes, but it was fun. But we had a really good time because we had no plans, and we just kind of went where the wind blew, and that's what we did. And I think those days are really good to just go out, do those back roads, see the small communities. They welcome visitors. Go into the little coffee shop, the little diners. Go shop in those little antique stores and support small business if you can. And it's something different. Like go to the Sonoya place, go there and go see, Beach Barbie. I'm putting Beach Barbies in the images. I have to. She's going in.
Yeah.
Beach Barbie's going in this.
Yeah.
Now there's a Barbie
technically
movie.
Here in Georgia we call it Barbie Beach. So
yeah, Barbie Beach is going in. So Barbie Beach. Okay, like really. But now there's all kinds of Barbies. There's even a Stephen Hawking Barbie. If you look on the Barbie website, you will see there's Barbies of all races, all disabilities, everything.
Is there a blind Barbie?
They're trying to be as inclusive as possible. So we have the all-inclusive Barbie collection. So there's a Barbie for all of us. But no one looks like me.
That's right. Yeah. Is it what it looks like you?
No.
Are you sure?
No. Yes.
Oh.
There's one that doesn't look like you, but I find it fascinating because I think, they were so like humanly perfect, yet so plastic. And so I think it gave girls a really bad way of looking up to wanting to be that way too. I personally say that.
My wife is an advanced practice nurse specializing in women's health, and she's also a midwife. And so she says that anatomically, the Barbies that all the guys sort of lust after, they're perfect shape. Anatomically, they wouldn't be able to walk. Like those shapes are
walk
not realistic
like a Barbie.
So those shapes are not realistic in any way, shape, or form. So physically it just wouldn't work from an anatomical perspective. So
everybody's got these plastic faces now too. These plastic blow up lips and cheeks that go up your ears and your face. I don't know.
I always thought the point of plastic surgery was to not look like you'd had it. I mean, I get plastic surgery if you've been in a bad accident or you were in a fire or, you've got something that's like, I knew a friend who had, and this didn't bother her friends or her husband, but she had one breast that was bigger than the other. So she eventually wanted to get a boob job so that they would be even. I can get all that. But looking plastic and fake,
we're all born that way, though.
Seems like a bad idea, huh?
We're always the majority of women are
this
born
was an extreme difference.
Okay, because you cannot. I mean, that's the thing is we always try to line up the nipples. Don't put that's it. The nipples never line up. There's not the perfect.
That sounds like a
lineup.
Great party game. Line up the nipples. That sounds like a good party game.
Yeah, you can play it after Twister. Maybe do it with Twister. I don't know, but spin the bottle and straighten the nipple.
That's right.
All right. Well, Joey, it has been fun. I think we've been around the world and back from Barbies to nipples to farts in an elevator.
Yeah.
But we did cover some important things like Buffalo Soldiers and Good Samaritans, cheese and wine, tequila. We did a lot. And so thank you all for listening. In the show notes, I've got a link to Joey's website so you can keep up with his music. Also, if you're a musician, call Joey. He's an amazing sound engineer and got a great studio. And also, we've got a link to a page on our site that lists all the holidays for you by each day, who had a birthday, birth anniversary, and all that good stuff, plus links to recipes, things like how to do a cheese board for wine tasting. So for Cheese and Wine Day, we have all kinds of good things like that, puzzles. For like National Motoring Day, we have a road trip crossword puzzle of 50 roadside attractions across the country.
I love it.
So it's super fun. So a lot of things are on there. And of course, we've got the links to the music playlists, which are on Spotify and YouTube. And those are in the show notes, but also on that page. And of course, keep up with us. Big Weekly Blend comes out midweek, every week. That's our new magazine. That's kind of the complement of this show. Joey is here every fourth Sunday. Next Sunday, we're doing a special one about Joey Alive Day. You're going to hear some other musicians talk about Joey's music and his Alive Day that happens in September, because we want to give you a month to get ready to go to Macon, Georgia, and go visit Joey and see some good music. Yeah. So that will be our show with Joey next fourth Sunday in August. And then Joey will also on that day tell us about his upcoming not world tour, but Europe tour. So it's Italy and England, right?
That's right.
All right. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Joey. Thank you, everyone. Keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. And if it's your birthday this week, happy birthday.